We get the title card from tape 1 here, and I don't blame Jerm for using this sequence multiple times. It's really well executed and visually striking. This tape is a little longer than tape 1 and is titled Ab Aqua Libertas. This is Latin, meaning from water comes freedom. I admit that I'm a sucker for pretentious use of Latin, so I love this title. The tape is from Grizzco instead of the Akai team. The first piece of text states that this is a training aid only usable by Grizzco Industries. We are then treated to an incredibly campy training video using the same MIDI cover of Splat Attack, I don't know, that the original Salmon Run trailer used. We get some bullet points on what the training video will go over. We will not be seeing all of these sections in this tape. We do see the first part, though, Introduction to Salmon Run. This whole section uses really gross pictures of actual salmon roe, and I'm a big fan of it. It makes me so uncomfortable to look at in the best way possible. The tape first goes over some Salmon Run lore about how the salmonids migrate to the Salmon Run maps to spawn their offspring, and that we, the player, are hired by Grizzco Industries to invade their land and steal their babies. The tape prefaces this information by claiming that salmonids are highly aggressive and many cities have been destroyed during their migrations, possibly fear-mongering to make Inklings more willing to engage in this pretty weird career choice, but also possible foreshadowing of Kaya's disappearance. Is it foreshadowing if we already know what happened? I don't know. Who cares? Not much useful information is given during this section, just a lot of world building about power eggs and salmonids. However, once the tape begins to talk about boss salmonids, it glitches out, skipping around and showing a lot of actual videos of salmon. The video then cuts to text referring employees to the employee handbook. Tape then moves on to part 3, skipping over the most important part of the job. This section is on pre-run precautions, and it is juicy, like a big, delectable quahog salmon joke. The tape then cuts to black and cuts back to a message that reads, "You may be wondering why an employee such as yourself needs to sign a waiver." The cut is interesting to me as it seems to be a skip in the tape. I believe that in between the cut there was a segment talking about the actual waiver. The tape goes on to explain the legal procedures are much different for egg harvesting since it's such a unique field. Then we get this message. It seems Grizzco is trying to ensure another Kaya incident never happens again, but in a characteristically hasty and shoddy way. This is an easy band-aid that voids Grizzco of accountability with minimal effort. The next slide hammers this in deeper, as it implies that Grizzco holds the legal right not to tell anyone what may or may not have happened to their young employees on the job. The only thing to note about the next slide is the "we're fresh" that lingers after the rest of the text. This is Grizzco emphasizing this point and making sure it sticks in our minds. The music then stops, instead replaced with a low droning as we move on to the legal attachments section. We're met by Grizzco once again insisting that they are not liable for any incidents during a salmon run, but at the same time assuring us there's nothing to worry about, like a real, honest corporation would. Next it says that proper permits must be carried at all times and presented when requested due to, quote, past events. Once again, Grizzco covering their asses. They're not out to prevent what happened to Kaya from happening again. They're out to prevent the fallout from happening again. Remember when I said that the precautions section is juicy? Well, the responsibility section is like a bigger and juicier Quahog with a big fat dump truck. So, Steelhead, I guess. Not a Kohozuna, though, because this takes place during Splatoon 2. Anywho, the music is still gone, and the first responsibility we are shown is number 22. It tells employees to minimize contact with their coworkers, giving the example of handshakes. We then have number 23. Do not enter the water under any circumstances. This one may just seem like it's because Inklings, fucking die in water, but these will both be talked about at the end of the tape, so keep them pinned up in your meat sponge. The video then glitches out with a sound that almost sounds like a growl, making Rule 23 seem especially sinister. We then get Rule 24. Do not let teammates go into the water. They're really emphasizing avoiding the water. possibly having something to do with the earlier tape saying that there's something in the water. Thalassophobia is a bitch, ain't it? Rule 25, no illegal substances are to be consumed while harvesting. This is a weird one, but seems pretty reasonable, and I don't think there's any broader lore implications here. Number 34 is to clean up the area before you leave. I find the fact they mention any people found in the area especially sinister. The video then cuts to the Grizzco logo shaded in darkness and this awful, awful static sound with text telling us never to go to the police. Jesus Christ. The very next line is that Grizzco works heavily with the Angopolis police, which is just hilarious to me, but this is an incredibly foreboding rule here. Grizzco doesn't want any incidents, like the disappearance, to be brought to the police. All the things we've seen are to protect Grizzco, not its employees. This has gone past corporate negligence to outright corporate maliciousness. Grizzco wants any incidents handled in-house and swept under the rug, and for their employees, who are all teenagers, by the way, to have no legal recourse. We then have a black screen and sounds of a camera underwater, which cut to what looks like an actual dead fish. The image is accompanied by a high-pitched ringing tone, which makes me a little bit dizzy. We then get the absolute juiciest part of the tape, the goose liver, the fucking big floppy kohuzuno, which I don't care doesn't exist right now because there's no bigger fish in the game. Aside from the zap fish, I guess, but I don't care. It's just juicy zap fish section. Let's go with that. This is an interrogation between a Grizzco operative and a young employee. The operative starts off very aggressive, swearing at the employee and demanding to know what the hell happened. The tone of the Grizzco manager tells us right off the bat that something very not good happened. The employee stays quiet. If the image is anything to go off of, he's quiet out of shame or fear. The manager keeps being hostile and shouting at him until the poor cephalopod says he has no idea what happened. The manager insists he must have seen something, saying that the boy is missing teammates. The boy says he fell into the water, confirming that this isn't a flashback to the Kaya incident. He also seems very apprehensive, this event likely being very traumatizing for him. More of these disappearances are happening. Grizzco has done nothing to stop it from happening again. This Grizzco manager then seems to threaten the boy into silence, the tape ends, and these squids need a goddamn union. So this tape has really expanded a lot of the story. We know Grizzco has reacted to the disappearance of Kaya, but also that more disappearances are happening. Grizzco is firmly our villain, their corporate maliciousness being the driving force of conflict here. However, I don't think that's all there is to it. It's not just Grizzco being a shady corporation with no care for the lives of its employees. There's something in the water, something that they don't want anybody knowing about. And with that, we move on to tape number 3, and our last tape so far. Hey, we're back with the shitty webcam. It's been so long since the last episode that I got a haircut. It's been a month, which it feels like it has only been like 3 days since I uploaded that first video. But it's been a month. I'm hoping that part 3 doesn't take quite that long to make. The main thing that bogged down the making of this one, the cat is really going ham on that door. I don't know if the microphone is picking it up. But the main thing that bogged down the creation of this video was school. I am a college student, and towards the end of making this was finals week, which took up a lot of my time and gave me a shit ton of burnout. So now that the semester is over and I am suddenly riddled with free time, I hope to get part 3 out a lot sooner, and once part 3 is done, if Jerm makes more episodes of the Grizzco tapes, I'll make more videos talking about it, but other than that, I hope to do other projects about other things. I'm really enthusiastic about how well that first episode did. 2,000 views is a lot. That is so beyond how well I thought that video would do, I expected to get like 12 views. Um, it was just like a little passion project, but now it seems that my dumb little passion projects can get wide-reaching attention, which is pretty cool. So I hope to be doing a lot more of this. Stay tuned for the third video. I'll probably begin making it right after this goes up.